Hi, I'm Tom and I talk about code. Welcome to another PlayStation 2 game development stream where today we're going to be finalizing, hopefully, the collision stuff we started last stream. I don't think there's too much to say, right? Nothing's really changed about this collision stuff from last time. Let's have a look at where we got. To, so we can jump back. I had to restart the previous stream because I forgot to do that, so we'll go into this wonderful little game. We can move, we can shoot. I need to remember to hold the controller and not get my controller hooked to my microphone stand. I need to remember to hold my controller up here so it doesn't look suspicious under the desk. So it looks like occasionally some things do actually collide, right? I saw two of these little yellow enemies get destroyed there. So what we're going to do is set up a situation where we can actually test this, right? Right now, we go into our engine, we go into our... No, we don't. We go into our script, we go into our entities, we go into our game manager. This game manager is spewing out rocks all the time, okay? We don't want that. We don't want that. We want to do something that's just we just want one rock. One rock that's going to sit there and not move so that we can really suss out what's going on with this. So let's go into script, game. When we start up the game, we're not going to spawn a game manager. We're going to create a rock. Let's go local r. Let's go... Oh, I've got to include the rock as well, don't I? Nope, I don't have to include the rock. The rock is already here. Let's go rock.new. I think we just give him position, let's say like 300, 200, roughly in the center of the screen. R.speed. R.speed is 0, right? So we're going to make a rock that hopefully will just sit still in the middle of the room. Or not, you know. Or not. Why not? We need to clean up some of this logging. This is a bit ridiculous. Also, do I have a clean Git branch? Oh, I didn't actually spawn it. I just made it. Here we go. This is the early stream jitters. Right, get these out of the way early. Get these out of the way bloody early. There we go. Nice. So, why don't these things collide? Right? Why don't these things collide? Let's clean up some of this logging. This is a bit silly. Log, debug. I guess that's okay as a debug log. But then in game.lua when we spawn, let's just get rid of this. Just get rid of it. It's gone. It's gone. Or maybe this actually. It makes more sense to do this like centrally, right? Rather than every entity having to log. Yeah, cool. E.toString E. Every entity has a position, so this is okay. And then we can go into player and get rid of it from here. Okay, that feels better. That feels a bit more natural. At the very least, we're not doubled up anymore. Cool. Yeah, there's some tidying work to do here, but we're just going to get something working for now. This can go. This is centralized. That's good. It's very good. Play a draw, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And get rid of this too. Cool. So, let's go into our rock. And let's see when we do this collide. Let's just do a little log, right? So let's change this to a log let's change this to a log info. And let's change this to a log info. Cool. So let's see what we're actually trying to collide with. Okay, this is going to be very telling. We'll get really close. We'll fire off a bullet. Okay. We're onto it. We're onto it. Some player spawn rock. This is good. This is much better logging. This is useful. 300, 200. Okay, so we spawn a bullet at 307, 205. So this is inside of our rock. Our rock is this size, and it's 20 by 20. So we test this out, right? So what do we do? So collide. I need another window. Script not AABB, rock. So we test these points, right? Self.pos.x, self.pos.x. Okay. So self.pos.x is 300. Self.pos.y is 200. We collide 307, 205 against this. So if AABB test should tell us if this point is inside this box, right? So we're going to do this first with 300, 200. Oh, we're doing this backwards. We're doing this backwards. Hold on. That makes sense, right? That makes a lot of sense. This is very silly, okay? We have an AAB. We've got a rock, right? This is our rock in the world. This is our enemy in the world. And we've got this tiny little box, right? We're checking to see if any of the corners of this box are inside of this, right? And they're not, because this box is tiny. So we actually have to do the opposite. We have to say if this box is within the corners here. So there's a few ways we could do this. I still want to keep the model. No. Everything falls apart. So say we have a triangle, right? Because my goal was centralize the boxes and have things collide with boxes flexibly, right? And we can still keep this. We can still do this. It's just we can't just test the points against the box. That only works if the box is like big, right? Is bigger than probably about half of the thing, I guess, or yeah, roughly that, let's say. Let's say it has to be like as big as the triangle for that to work, right? These tiny little bullets, it's not going to work. So what does this look like now? So we have to say if it intersects with the shape. Okay, so basically, we're going to keep the same model, okay? We're going to keep the same idea. We're just no longer going to... well, we're just going to have to write a more interesting method. So this AABB, we're no longer going to test corner by corner. We're going to say if AABB test rect, right? So we're gonna test a rectangle against an AABB. Then there we go. So we've got to write a new function, right? But the idea is, and it makes sense why this worked sometimes in very specific times before, because if the bullet glanced to the very edge, like a 2 pixel by 2 pixel border on the edge of a box, then it would, send a collision, like the collision would actually go through. Okay, so we're going to test a rectangle against an AABB. And in player, we're going to have to test a triangle against an AABB, which is slightly more complicated, and we might actually just make the player... Oh, but it's going to have to be a rotate... Nah, we'll just make the player a rectangle, right? Triangles are cool, but rectangles under the hood are much easier to do with. It'll just be like a box like that. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Cool. So, let's go do this. So, AABB. Test AABB other. Let's change this. Let's change this to test rect. So this is now going to be test point, test rect, and this is going to take an x, a y, a width, and a height. Actually, no, hold on. That doesn't work. Yeah, okay, we'll keep that. Function AABB test rect. Does this have the same problem, right? Do we get this like ABBA problem? So we have a thing, we're checking if a thing collides with this thing. So what if we have the opposite problem? What if the thing is very small and the AABB is very big? So we check the corners of this are inside the AABB. Yes, that always works, right? If the corners of the... Yes. So we care about the red thing colliding with the blue thing, or the black thing, depending on how the color compression goes with this. So we check the corners of this are inside the corners of that. Where did you go? Great. Okay, yes. So return self test x, y, test point. We'll be explicit. We'll call this test point. Now, is this what we did before? No. What we did before was test. This was inside there. We're testing. This is inside. Yes. Is this what we're doing before? No. I believe. X, y plus height, or self test point x plus width, y plus height. Yeah, cool. Am I dumb? Have I just done the same thing again? Test, we give it a rectangle and we test those corners against. No, we were doing the opposite before. We were testing the corners of this thing against that thing. Were we? I don't know, let's find out. Let's just run it and see what happens. Lol. I think we're good. Right? I think we're good. So let's get nice and close to the center. And it's the same thing. Can I get it on the edge? Okay. So similar behavior, very similar behavior. It collides here. Yeah, so this looks like it's still caring about the corner, right? 200 x 300 200. It's at 300 200. That's okay. So that one's within. We've done the same thing again. So we're saying test self.test. Test that this is within this, or this is within this, or this is within this, or this is within this. That's right. That's the right logic. Test point. That's the right. Surely that's the right logic. I'm missing something. Really dumb, right? This is in the test x. So x is greater than or equal to self.pos.x. So let's do another test, okay? Let's do another test. We're gonna come down here. We're gonna go pow. And we're gonna find this spawn. 303, 206. This should collide. So we're gonna grab this. We're gonna put it in a temporary buffer. Okay. So why does this not collide? So we have 303, 2 wide. So, and we're testing against 300, 200, 20, 20. So the first thing we do, 300, 200, right? Test point 300, 200. So test point. Is 300 greater than or equal to this? No. We're doing the same thing again. I'm doing it backwards still. X plus width. So x plus width is 320. Is 320 greater than x position? Yes. Is it less than this plus this? Is it less than 305? No. Okay, so we're doing the same thing. This is good. We're still dependent on. Oh yeah, we're still checking if the corners are inside this. No. Yeah. Cool. I'm being dumb. So we want to say if self.pos.x greater than or equal to x, and self.pos.x plus self.bound.x less than x plus width, and we need to do the opposite. Oh, we just need to make it an AABB. We really just need to make it an AABB. I guess we just well, rocks already have an AABB, right? Oh, they don't, but they will. No, they don't. Well, they will, right? So let's just make it AABB. Let's just do it. Let's go local. AABB equals AABB dot new. We'll make it at XY. And then we'll say out.AABB. Oh no, it takes a width and a height as well, right? 2020. Beautiful. We've really got to make this not just hard-coded to 2020, but okay. Okay. So the rock has an AABB. The rock has an AABB. When we update the rock, we need to say AABB.pos add delta. So keep these things in sync. That should be fine. They should stay in sync, right? Sure. And then when we test, we just say, so we have an AABB, we say test A, so we want to test it, which one tests which one? So we want to test the corners of the other against ourselves. So we want to go if self.AABB test AABB. Oh, I hate these names. This is the worst naming I have ever done. But this will work. This will just work this time, right? This makes sense. Once I fix this, 40. Oh, self.AABB.pos, of course. How silly of me. And this will work this time, right? Ready? Okay. Small problem. I attempted to call nil method test because if we go into AABB, I'm still calling this test and not test point. Okay. So we just make things AABBs even if they're not like... this makes sense, right? And these things don't collide. And these things don't collide because we might be doing it backwards. So let's have to test. So self.pos.x. We're still doing it backwards. We're still doing it backwards. If self.pos.x greater than... Yes, we're still doing it backwards. We want to say if AABB.test AABB self.AABB. There we go. We got there in the end, and this time it freaking works. I love it. I bloody love it. Okay, that's awesome. That's really awesome. That's really awesome. So if we go to player bullet on spawn, let's add an on spawn to this rock. Function rock spawn st. We'll say st add area AABB self.AABB. Right. So now we can go back. Well, let's go into our player. Let's give the player an AABB. That's always good. XY. Now, this is actually complicated, right? For now, let's just do a really dumb AABB that covers some of the player. This is not good, right? We're going to have to do some offset stuff. We'll have to do some math to make this work, but for now, let's just add an AABB to the player. We'll add an on spawn. Actually, no, the player's AABB does not get sent, does not get registered, right? It doesn't collide with stuff. Stuff collides with us. But we do set the AABB on the player. We need to track it. And then we say, oh, well, we have, oh, we need that. Oh, well, we don't need this, right? So let's say function player collide AABB. We need to check the type as well, actually. If AABB.kind.type, I guess not type. We need to have some kind of player bullet. kind enemy damage. So this is one of these things that's always fun when you define collisions, right? Does an enemy damage collision damage enemies, or does it damage players? Like, is it damage coming from an enemy, or is it damage going to an enemy? We'll say enemy damage. And then when we come down in rock, we'll say if kind equals enemy damage, then and AABB test AABB self.AABB, then this is just a naming catastrophe. I really have to think this through better. Okay, now rock AABB's kind self.AABB.kind is player damage, and then in the player we say if AABB.kind is player damage. And now how do we do this in rock? We say this one test AABB self.AABB, then let's just log.info player. Ow. Love it. What happens? What are we going to see? We see a crash, of course, right? What is this without a good syntax error? Attempted index global blah blah blah. We haven't included local AABB is require ab. And what else? What have we got? Attempted index a nil value global self. That is interesting. That is interesting, but very easy to fix, because in the new method we've tried to index self. It's actually called out. We don't have a self yet because this isn't a method. We could make it one. Well, no, we could define our thing to be called self. So what happens as well if we ram into this rock, right? What do we get? Do we track these rocks? Have we added them to the game state, right? So when we create a rock, do we have an on spawn? We add the area. Okay. Let's make sure we've spelled things correctly. Player damage. Player damage. Collide, log info. Oh, we're not moving the player AABB every frame, right? This is a silly thing about managing this. I guess we could make them point to the same position vector, but that makes me a little nervous. I don't want AABBs to be able to move entities. I only want entities to be able to move AABBs. Let's just be explicit. Let's go self.AABB.pos add dir. And now when we ram this, it should print some stuff out. Yeah, love it. So it's like, it's here, right? It's in the middle of the player. That actually kind of works. Because we're positioning this triangle based on offsets, right? So like this is offset, this is offset, this is offset, all from a central XY. So actually, this is kind of what we want to see, right? Beautiful. So let's add the game manager back in and play around with actually, shooting stuff. If we go to game enter, we'll get rid of this testing rock, and let's run it and see how it goes, right? So I can shoot these things out. Bullets aren't very fast. That might be a problem. And also we can just spam. Okay, so that guy wasn't getting hit when he should have. That guy wasn't getting hit when he should have. Maybe we want bullets to... Some of these guys really are not copping shots that they look like they should be, right? They're just shrugging them off. So bullets going through guys, maybe not the best. But again, I don't know how we actually communicate that back up, right? Because of how we've designed this to be, that like AABBs live here. Oh my writing is terrible this morning. AABB lives over here. Entity lives over here. And there's kind of a wall between them, right? So entities create they, add an AABB to a list. They update. Collision events kind of come in event. We have this collide, very callbacky method, and that can send information back, but we don't know how to go through an AABB. Like I said, right, there's no one-to-one relationship here, right? That's not what we want. That's very much not what we want to do. So add update. So I guess we could have a reference, like an AABB can optionally refer back to some entity that owns it, and multiple AABBs could refer back to the same entity, right? This is awkward because entities decide when an AABB gets destroyed. I guess I'm nervous about the situation where an AABB hangs around and it stops an entity from getting garbage collected, and we essentially get a memory leak, right? That would not be good. I don't know if it's a real concern. It might be an overly cautious concern, because entities do decide when AABBs get destroyed, right? So in theory, this is a bi-directional relationship. So entities refer to AABBs they control because they have to tell us when they signal in the AABB when that AABB should be destroyed. But then if AABBs refer back to the entity, you've got this like bi-directional soup of references. It's a little bit gross. But I don't think there's another way to really do it. I guess the other thing, right? You could make, and this is the kind of like hard-hitting design decision you would maybe think I would like plan out before I started streaming. You would be wrong, okay? We're doing this on the fly. You could make this relationship back to the entity more implicit, right? Or less explicit. Two kind of equivalent statements. So what if, right? What if we made this bloody paladin? Get back there. What if we made this? What if we made this like a spooky ghost reference back, right? We don't actually have a reference to the entity, but we have some interface that lets us operate on the entity. Okay, and so what I mean by that is, oh my, I am spamming. I'm spamming the console. We're chugging. We've hit 3 FPS. Because every bullet we spawn now as well is gonna like shit the bed, because it's got to collide with 58,000 things, and it in fact looks like they are not colliding with anything. The game has ceased to function. Okay, so we need some caps on things like that, and the game manager should probably keep track. And so that's another interesting thing, right? Because the game manager's we're gonna see a similar issue when we have a game manager. Let's get a better color here. Right, the game manager spawns rocks. So it kind of pushes out a rock, right? But this rock's going to get destroyed at some point. The game manager is going to keep going and keep spawning rocks, but really it should kind of not spawn rocks if it's going to slow down the game, if it's going to break the game. There should be a cap on how much it tries to spawn. So we need some way for a rock, when it kind of has its when it kind of gets destroyed, we want some way to communicate that back to the game manager, so it can say, okay, we're cleaning up, a resource, something we've created is gone, we can now spawn another one. Our counter de-increments. There are interesting things we could do about this, right? I would rather not have a rock. Again, the same problem here. I'd rather not have the game manager spawn a rock, but then that game manager hold a reference, that rock hold a reference to the game manager, right? Let's try a pattern here. Let's try a pattern. It's still not perfect, but let's try it. We'll go into our AABB. What do we say? Okay, we'll have a signal function that does nothing in the default AABB. We'll come into our player bullet. When we create our AABB, we're going to say rather than, saying AABB, we could say self.aabb.parent equals self, right? you know, do AABBs need to change parent? Probably not. That doesn't really make sense to me. A new thing can just make a new AABB. It's not a big deal. But again, you know, what if something... I don't know. It just feels a bit gross. What if instead we... Oh, sorry. I can just hear people on the street. That sounded like someone was in the room behind me. Very spooky. Very weird acoustics. What if instead we wrap this up in a function, right? So a function which says self if s equals, then s.alive is false. Or do we say s.alive? Do we say s.kill? Line draw, update, return, yeah. We do this with, do we do this with rocks? We do this with something, right? Alive. Maybe we don't. We just need like an early out of our update, right? If self, this should be self. We just need some kind of early out, right? To say, okay, actually something's already killed us. So this is getting messy, right? We might need a better way to handle the concept of entity death. But for now, this will do. We're just going to hack some more layers on top of it. Oh, we've got a question in the chat. And this is a good question, okay? So, just allow me to resize it. Alpus Fly, why is everyone using Lua all of a sudden? Who is everyone? Thank you for the follow yesterday, by the way. Following me while I was offline. Always appreciate it. Why is everyone using Lua all of a sudden? Who do you mean by everyone? But, you know, I will talk a little bit. And I've talked about this on lots of streams in the past. If you're watching on YouTube, you might be sick of hearing this by now. But, oh, the NeoVim guys. Yeah. Awesome. So Lua is an amazing configuration language, right? Very lightweight, very easy to write. Comes with a lot of stuff out of the box, but also, comes with a lot of options out of the box, I guess. Robotics simulated using it. Yeah, it's a great language for when you want to define everything from the ground up, right? So for NeoVim, you don't get a load of shit, right? You don't get a whole heavy language runtime. It's like a few hundred lines of code. It's in, and you can make it do whatever you want. You can start with very kind of primitive, like, you know, if you want object-oriented programming, you can rig it up yourself using tables and whatever system you want to come up with and like set meta tables. You can do it. You can do that yourself. But you don't have to do it. You don't have to take object-oriented programming. It's fast, it's performant. For this PlayStation 2 stuff, it makes a lot of sense because it's a very constrained system. So for embedded systems, you know, it embeds very well because it's very small. And yeah, it just comes with a garbage collector. It lets you just throw stuff at the wall. You know, if you imagine trying to write this in Java, for example, how much more memory it would take up in a very memory-constrained environment like the PlayStation 2. For NeoVim, I think they like it just, again, it's very lightweight. It doesn't have a startup cost. You know, it just goes. Maybe not the best answer. I got a little bit unfocused there. But for my PlayStation 2 stuff, basically, yeah, it's a language that's very fast to iterate in. There are interesting options for things like hot reloading code over the network, which is going to be important because, you know, going and restarting the PlayStation 2 and then relaunching a program takes time. So a scripting language was really important to me from that point of view. And yeah, Lua was just the best fit in terms of performance and size. Awesome. Hopefully that wasn't too rambly. Lua's cool. I'm going to start using Lua in more stuff now that I've bit the bullet for this. But it doesn't solve all problems, right? It comes with a whole host of problems. Okay, so now we have a way to signal something back from an AABB. And it's a bit janky, but it'll do for now. So let's go into our rock. Okay? When we collide, we'll say AABB signal. We send a message back. And by default, another AABB will ignore this, but if it implements signal, if it knows how to handle this message, then it will end itself. And we've left a syntax error in here, but that's okay because we have this fantastic make rule, make Lua lint. Okay, player bullet expected end. So we haven't closed a function with end properly. Ooh, best streamer I've watched this month. Any plans on becoming a partner so you can give me Prime? Thank you very much. I'm currently in a bit of a weird spot with streaming, right? I work a full-time programming job, so my schedule is up and down and whatever. I do have affiliate. I've never activated it because, again, sometimes I just take a trip to Adelaide and don't stream for a while. So I don't necessarily want people subscribing to me for that, right? So I don't know. I'm happy to keep it like very chill and very informal, very like no ad. People can donate to me in Ko-Fi or Coffee if they want to. Keep your Prime subscription. Give it to someone else, someone who probably like takes streaming a bit more seriously. That's my vibe. But thank you very much. I really do appreciate comments like that. They never get old. Funnily enough, people telling you that you're like good at the thing you're doing. Crazy. But yeah, thank you to everyone who has been donating as well along the way. It's making this journey a lot easier to justify. Cool, so let's jump over into Play a Bullet. Why does this path not work, right? Script entity player bullet. Script entity player. This is actually the right part. Oh, it doesn't strip that prefix, I forget. We should write a rule for Vim that understands how to parse Lua-lint errors. Anyway, 49. So the end of the file. So we haven't closed something, and that's not the file I want to open. We haven't closed something. Same problem. Or blah, this is all good. We didn't change this. We added something here. If this end. That's simple. It's that simple. And we've lost the ability to shoot again, weirdly enough. I don't know why this happens sometimes. We've got to work it out. We've got to crack this one. I'm pressing the button and nothing's happening. I mean, let's see if we can replicate it, right? If we can replicate it, then something really bad's happened. But yeah, sometimes we just lose the ability to shoot. It must be a button management state thing, right? And our collision still seems a little janky. That shouldn't happen. Okay, let's let a few rocks appear. I think we are doubling up on a few things. I like that the bullets now no longer hang around. That's good news. Why did a couple of rocks go in one bullet? That's not great. Oop. There goes the n squared, right? So if I really spam these bullets, n squared. Okay. Oof. We've got to speed up this collision test time. We've got to fix this. Why? Why do some of these not work? Oh man, that is so inefficient. That's amazing. So I've got a lot of optimization to do here. For now, let's go into our player and let's just make spamming bullets less feasible. Let's just go like bullet timer. So every time we press the button, if this and self.bullet timer less than 0, then we spawn a bullet and we set self.bullet timer. How many seconds should we have between bullets? 0.1? Is that too slow? That's probably going to feel like shit. Let's go 0.06. A tiny nth of a second. Love it. Bullet timer, blah, blah, blah. And then we just need to go into update and make sure that we're decrementing it. So self.bullet time equals self.bullet timer minus dt, right? Subtract the time elapsed from our timer. And we don't care if it goes below 0. That's not what I wanted. We don't care if it goes below 0. Okay, that's actually still surely did anyone else see that little rock pop out of existence in the center of the screen there? There's something still a bit rotten with our collision logic. We've got to change it up a bit, but it's getting better. And this callback system kind of works. Why doesn't this work? Player bullet timer. Let's set the bullet timer to something really big. Let's say 1 bullet per second and see if this we can still spam. We can still bloody spam. Oh, hold on. We're not being very consistent here. So self.bullet timer. Bullet timer, bullet timer, bullet timer, bullet timer, bullet timer. But now, people asking about why are you using Lua? This is a good reason why Lua sucks, okay? Self.bullet time. This isn't anything. This evaluates to nil, and nil apparently is less than 0. Sure. Why not? So this is just true, apparently. And we can test this out. We can open up a Lua 5.3, Lua 5.4 we're on. Lua 5.4, we can say nil less than 0. Print nil less than 0. X is object. Print x.foo less than 0. Attention. So this wasn't a... This is different behavior than what I was seeing just then. But anyway, we've got a typo. We're going to fix this typo and everything's good. And it's really hard for Lua to pick up that, like, it's not a syntax error. And it doesn't really have enough knowledge of types that it can pick anything like that up, except for, you know, when you run the program and notice the bug yourself. So that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. Yeah, so now we're shooting slow, right? Now we're like, boop. And bad argument number 1 to remove, position out of bounds. I don't like that. I don't like that. Does this happen again? Was this a one-off fluke, or is this going to happen every time we try and remove stuff? No, just a one-off fluke. So we got to think about this. We got to think about what this is. Maybe there's some like ordering, right? Like if that shouldn't happen. I guess if we're removing more than one entity per frame, that'll happen. Yeah, because if we're removing more than one entity per frame, so we just saw a bug. Okay, let's document this bug, and I'm probably gonna have to call it because I've got a lot of stuff to do. Bug. To remove entity. So on when okay, we build a list, right? So we build a kill list, right? So of indexes. So we have a list like 2, 5, 7, and these are the indexes in our list of entities that are gonna be killed at the end of this frame. These are the things that will not persist beyond the current update, right? And then we remove them. Remove by index, right? So imagine a world here where we have 7 entities in a list. Okay, so we have 1, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is Lua, so we're 1 indexed, right? So entity 1 is the first entity in this list. So we go through and we say, okay, remove indices from this list. So index 2, remove it. 1, 2, gone. Bug, okay? Because now the table resizes. It moves this back. What was index 3 now becomes index 2. So now we're saying remove index 5. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gone. What was index 6 became index 7 is now index 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The table resizes. So now we come in, we say destroy index 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're trying to do something out here beyond the end of the table. Crash. So our kill list only works if we're just removing 1 entity per frame. And that is a big, big problem because that's no guarantee. So this explains why we've seen weird behaviors where sometimes, you know, we shoot a rock in one point on the screen and another rock disappears. Yeah? Because we're just, you know, we've destroyed 2 things in one frame. The list indexes have a different meaning. The indices have a different meaning. So there's a really good hack to fix this, right? We could, as well as removing, we could go through the rest of the kill list and say, you know, say we remove index 2, right? Well, index 5 becomes index 4 and index 7 becomes index 6. If there's an index in the kill list greater than 2, we de-increment it. If 2's in there twice, then we've fucked up and something's gone wrong, and that's not good. We've messed up. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my language PG here. It's very difficult. But let's hack this in right now. This is a terrible solution. We're gonna have to optimize this at some point. But let's hack this in right now because it'll work. And you know, I thought I was gonna close out this stream with an active bug. Let's not do that. Let's say kill list for everything in the kill list. Now we say for so we want to start at the next index in the kill list. So let's go. I've always got to Google this. Lua for loop. I was hoping someone at work yesterday with JavaScript, and they were like, "Oh wow, thank you. You know, JavaScript. You're doing really well with it." And they were kind of like, "How do you know JavaScript, right?" Because I was talking about how I don't do JavaScript very often, and I'm like, I don't, right? I muddle through. I Google things I need to do it. I need to add something to a list. I'm like list.append. No, that's Python. List.push. Yeah, cool. I think that's right. You know, and you just kind of like muddle around and fake it. But for loops in Lua, I Google every single time because I know it's not quite the syntax I'm used to. So for let's not call it I, let's call it, I guess j equals I 1 2 3. We want to start at index 4, so let's I plus 1. The max value is going to be the length of the kill list, and again I'm already doing it wrong. These are commas, not semicolons. And then we're going to go j equals j plus 1. Oh, sorry, the increment is 1. So I think yes, beautiful. Do if kill list I is greater than, if kill list j is greater than kill list I, then kill list I equals kill list I plus minus 1. It gets smaller. And then we're going to do the same thing for the axis aligned bounding boxes, because this is going to have the same issue. I'm going to go, except instead of kill list, this is going to be AABB kill list. So we're going to do a find and replace kill list AABB kill list, change it for every occurrence on the line. And now when we run this, things will be better. It might crash, we will see. I think we've bloody fixed this. Now, some of these guys are still invincible. That's not good. Our collision is a little bit janky, right? There's a bit of a delay between shooting, and we're gonna cap how many of these rock fellas are hanging around, right? So the next thing to do from here, other than fix collision and limit the number of rocks on the screen so that we don't get this weird n-squared slowdown, the next thing to do is going to be to have some kind of more engaging enemy, an enemy that kind of shoots back and moves around. So while you're dodging these rocks and trying to shoot them and whatever, you have to deal with something with a little bit higher cognitive load, right? And then you add a high score system, you know, add some text, you add some new graphics, and this is probably going to be the first of my PlayStation 2 minis, right? So this repo, if I come over to GitHub, this repo is going to be for mini games, right? Small games that just kind of test out my my repository, not this repos. I don't want to show off my secret repos. PlayStation 2 minis, right? So I'll have a collection of games here. I'll probably have a simple platform, or I'll have this as like a asteroid style top-down shooter, and we'll go from there. It's going to be great. I'm going to make a couple of these, and then I'm going to release the library as 1.0. If you want to test out the library now, of course, it is all on GitHub. That is under my most popular repo. That is under PS2 Homebrew live streams. This is the engine. This is what powers it. Needs documentation. I'm going to do that soon. I'm going to just sit down one day, you know, tired, feeling miserable one morning. I'm just going to like do a couple of hours of documentation and make it beautiful. I might refactor this, right? And if people are watching this still and have opinions, right? Because I figure the people watching this are quite invested. Okay, if you're making it the whole way through this video, you probably have thoughts, you probably have feelings. If I go into a file like, maybe like player, so I'm including these things. So like PS2 Math's a good one, Draw2D is a good one, right? If we look at the engine script folder, so the things you might include, actually not very many of them. GIF, I guess, VRAM, right? text. If you name something ps2 init.lua, for example, it will override the default ps2 init. And that's probably a good thing. But things like ps2 math, you know, why do I have a game.lua in here? Okay, I need to clean this up, basically. Oh, because they get copied across. Basically, I fell over myself a little bit there, but basically, you know, vram.lua. Should I namespace this somewhere? Should I call this engine.vram.lua, and then scripts you write will get copied in here but not override them because you won't put them in a folder called engine? Maybe, right? Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe that would be a little bit cleaner. And then you can just write your own main.lua. I'll move this stuff. Well, I mean, yeah, you will write your own main.lua. Yeah, I think that might be better, right? I might have to refactor this a little bit. And that'll be a breaking change. So I want to try and get all of those breaking changes out of my system before I actually say, hey, you know, this is 1.0. But anyway, for everyone watching on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and do all that good stuff and keep your eyes peeled for the next videos. I'm going to be doing some PlayStation 2 stuff. I've got some non-PlayStation 2 stuff planned as well. It's going to be fantastic. See you next time.